Throughout my life, I've been captivated by the idea of enlightenment, the profound awakening that sages, mystics, and philosophers have spoken of for millennia. Across different cultures and eras, numerous paths have been laid out, each offering a unique route to deeper understanding and inner peace. Throughout the world, countless generations have spent their lives preparing for the chance at enlightenment. Some seek enlightenment through meditation, sitting in silence to still the mind and uncover the truths that lie beneath the surface. Others pursue it via rigorous intellectual inquiry, dissecting the nature of reality through philosophy and science. There are those who find it in the fervor of religious devotion, immersing themselves in prayer and ritual to connect with something greater than themselves. And some discover it through art, music, or the simple act of being present in the natural world. Any combination of faith, love, and understanding can raise the necessary vibrations to the right frequency with enough intensity. One might wonder if one can prepare for enlightenment. I assure you that you can. The majority of religious and spiritual traditions that exist devote great detail in their texts to preparing the individual with context to interpret personal revelatory experiences.
However, this aspect is much neglected in a world dominated by reductionist, materialist perspectives. It's a preparation I'd recommend, having gone without. My path was unique, as all paths are in practice.
But with that in mind, I offer you today an account and analysis of my own experience of life review, a well-documented element of enlightenment experience in numerous mystical traditions. In these traditions, enlightenment or heightened states of consciousness often bring about moments of intense clarity, where individuals review their entire life with a level of objectivity and comprehension that transcends normal memory recall. I would add that perfect recall of one's own life, combined with an intense sense that everything in the world is as it should be, drives an intense need to understand and resolve one's own regrets. Someday I'll tell you where I was and what I was doing again, or maybe you'll have to watch my old videos. In any case, enlightenment comes fast, but understanding slow. I only tell this story because I now realize how little I understood. It started with a stillness within me, a silence that wasn't external but seemed to resonate from inside. At first, it was deeply unsettling. My mind resisted it, filling the quiet with the noise of past conversations, unresolved conflicts, and forgotten dreams. I was restless, trying to make sense of why, in the midst of unprecedented clarity, my mind was dragging me into this internal chaos. I tried to push away the discomfort, but the more I fought, the louder the internal noise became. It was as if my mind was presenting me with all the unfinished business I had tried to ignore. The temptation to distract myself, to drown out this unsettling stillness, was strong, but though I didn't understand, I had faith, and I chose to stay. I chose to sit with it, to resist the urge to escape. Looking back, this experience mirrors what many spiritual traditions describe as the early stages of awakening. In Taoism, Laozi teaches, stillness is the ruler of movement. Though it was unsettling, the stillness became a kind of gateway, a necessary pause before deeper exploration. This restlessness and chaos were not distractions, but a part of the process. Without warning, memories began to rise. It was as though a dam had broken. Images from my childhood, adolescence, and early adulthood came rushing back. Events I hadn't thought of in years. Some were sweet, filled with the warmth of nostalgia, while others were sharper, tinged with regret. I wasn't just remembering these events, I was reliving them with an intensity that startled me. Faces, places, emotions, everything was vivid, like walking through a gallery of my own past. It felt overwhelming. Why was I suddenly flooded with this? Why now, out of nowhere? I wondered what I was supposed to find, but as I gave into the experience, a subtle shift occurred. Rather than feeling lost, I started to observe. Each memory seemed to carry a meaning or a lesson, even if I couldn't fully grasp it at the time. This flood of memories echoes the teachings found in Tibetan Buddhism and the Bardo Thodol. At this moment you will see your life's deeds, good and bad, without obscuration. Though I wasn't physically dying, this experience had the essence of a life review, where everything, both joyful and painful, surfaced for examination. The act of observing these memories without immediate judgment or resistance allowed me to begin making sense of them in a deeper way. Then came the shadows. Beneath the surface memories, the ones I could manage, there were darker, heavier moments I had buried, mistakes I made, regrets, times I had hurt others and been hurt, memories that triggered surges of anger, of guilt, of sadness. They were painful, and the emotions felt raw even years later. The memory wasn't just a replay. I felt everything again, and I realized I had control over my feelings. I could let waves of memory wash over me and carry me away to the dark places such memories are buried. Or I could choose to experience them differently, to respond to them differently, to give them a new meaning. One this was certain, though. There was no escape from this. I had to face it. The stage of confronting difficult memories and emotions mirrors Carl Jung's concept of shadow work. He tells us one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The discomfort I experienced wasn't punishment. It was part of the process. Only by facing these shadow aspects of myself could I begin to move toward real understanding. It was about integration, not avoidance. As I continued reflecting on these memories and emotions, I started to sense a deeper connection. What had once seemed like isolated events in my life now appeared to be part of a larger tapestry. I began to see how each action, each experience was connected not just within my own life, but in a web of influence that extended outward, touching others, affecting their lives in ways I hadn't realized. I felt a strange sense of clarity, like seeing my life not as a series of random events, but as an intricately woven pattern. It wasn't just about me anymore. I could feel the ripple effects of my actions, how something I said years ago still resonated in the lives of others. It was as though I was stepping back and seeing a larger universal design at play, one I had been both a part of and a witness to. This realization reflects the teachings in near-death experiences, where individuals describe seeing their lives as interconnected webs. In Tibetan Buddhism, the idea of interconnectedness is essential. The Bardo Thodol suggests that in heightened states of awareness, we come to understand how all actions, large and small, contribute to the broader fabric of existence. My experience of this universal thread wasn't just a personal insight, it was a step toward understanding my place in the greater whole. Having seen how deeply my actions rippled through my life and into the lives of others, I began to feel a shift. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by guilt or regret, I found myself accepting responsibility for my choices. I understood that I couldn't change the past, but I could learn from it, and in doing so I could transform it. Rather than hiding from my mistakes, I began to embrace them as part of my growth. There was a sense of compassion here, not just for others, but for myself. I had done the best I could with the awareness I had at the time. Now, with a broader understanding, I could make different choices going forward. This stage resonates with Hindu teachings on karma and liberation. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, "Action is the product of the qualities inherent in nature. Only the ignorant, deluded by individuality, think themselves the actor. Recognizing that I was not separate from the greater flow of life helped me to realize I was not trapped by my past. This acceptance allowed me to transform guilt into a deeper understanding. But even so, one question just led to another the deeper I went. And then something profound happened. The memories and experiences I had once labeled as mistakes no longer felt like burdens. Instead, I began to see them in a new light, not as wrong turns, but as essential parts of my growth. What I had once viewed with regret, I now saw with gratitude. These moments, even the painful ones, had shaped me in ways I could not have understood at the time. They had been the catalysts for my evolution, each one carrying lessons that contributed to who I had become. This realization was liberating. It felt like a weight had been lifted, not because I had forgiven myself for my past, but because I no longer saw anything that needed forgiveness. Everything that had happened was perfect in its own way, perfect in its imperfection. I could finally love those memories for what they were, appreciating them as crucial steps in my personal journey. This experience resonates deeply with mystical teachings about the unity of all experiences. In Gnostic thought, enlightenment comes not just from understanding, but from the integration of all aspects of life into a coherent whole. The Gospel of Thomas speaks to this idea, stating, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you." What I brought forth from within myself wasn't just an acceptance of my past, but an appreciation for it. The revelation that there were no mistakes, only experiences of value, was what saved me from the endless cycle of regret. It was a transformation of perception, a realization that every event, every emotion, and every action had been a part of a larger necessary unfolding. This is also reflected in Hindu philosophy, particularly the concept of karma, which teaches that every action contributes to the evolution of the soul. In this light, my experiences weren't mistakes. They were part of the intricate process of my spiritual growth. I began to see my life as an unbroken thread of valuable experiences, all leading to this moment of clarity. After this revelation, I felt a deeper sense of connection, not just to myself, but to everyone around me, to life itself. The realization that there were no mistakes in my life naturally extended to others. If my experiences were perfect in their imperfection, so were theirs. I began to see how the same truth applied universally. We are all part of this greater whole, moving through experiences that shape us, not as isolated individuals, but as interconnected beings. The sense of isolation that often accompanies regret and self-doubt melted away. I no longer saw myself as a lone figure navigating a world of mistakes. Instead, I felt part of a vast interconnected web of life where every experience, mine and everyone else's, had value. This wasn't just an intellectual understanding, it was a felt experience, something that resonated deeply in my heart. This stage reflects the wisdom found in Sufism, where the idea of unity and interconnectedness is central. The Sufi mystic Rumi expresses it perfectly. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. This insight revealed the broader truth. We are all interconnected, part of a larger whole. My personal journey was not separate from the journeys of others. It was intricately linked. By embracing my own experiences as essential and valuable, I also began to see the beauty in the experiences of others, no matter how different or difficult they may seem. This interconnectedness brought a sense of peace and humility. It reminded me that I wasn't alone in my growth. Everyone was part of this collective unfolding of life, each person's journey adding to the richness of the whole. If you find yourself on the threshold of a similar journey, it's important to recognize that the path may not be a clear one at first. In fact, it might begin with restlessness, confusion, or even discomfort. The mind will stir, dredging up old memories, unresolved conflicts, and forgotten dreams, and it may feel as though you're being pulled into a storm of your own making. But understand this, the stirring is not the problem. The discomfort is not a sign of failure or something to avoid. It is the opening, an invitation to step into a deeper awareness of yourself. The stillness that lies beneath this noise is where you begin. When memories and emotions rise, resist the temptation to label them as good or bad, right or wrong. The mind loves to sort, to categorize, to create a narrative of blame or guilt. But on this path, those judgments no longer serve you. What you are experiencing is not a trial to endure or a test to pass. These memories are surfacing because they have been waiting for you. They are not coming to condemn you, but to offer insight. Insight you couldn't have gained at the time. There is no need to resist or try to manage them. Simply watch, listen, and allow them to unfold, because each carries a thread of understanding that will slowly weave itself into a larger tapestry. As you move deeper, you may begin to confront parts of your life that you once wished to forget. Moments you deemed mistakes, times when you weren't your best self. These experiences may feel heavy at first, and you may wonder why you are being asked to relive them. But here is the most important shift. These are not mistakes. They never were. The idea of a mistake comes from the mind's limited view. What felt like a failure or a wrong turn was never an obstacle in your path. It was the path itself. Each moment, no matter how difficult, has led you to this one. And in this realization, the weight of regret lifts. What was once a burden becomes a cherished memory, not because it was easy or pleasant, but because it allowed you to grow. Without these moments, you would not have the understanding that is now taking root within you. This revelation will bring a deep sense of peace, a liberation from the endless cycle of self-criticism and doubt. You will begin to see that everything in your life has been part of a perfect unfolding, and this isn't the kind of peace that comes from resignation or passive acceptance. It's a peace born of recognition. You see yourself fully and clearly, and you understand that every aspect of your journey has had its place. It couldn't have been any other way. In this light, you can finally love your whole story, not just the highlights, but the shadows as well, because they are what made you whole. From this space of peace, something even more profound begins to happen. You start to recognize the interconnectedness of all things. What you've learned about yourself isn't just personal, it is universal. The same experiences that shaped you are shaping others in their own ways. The pain, the joy, the fear, the growth, they are shared. You are no longer a single drop navigating through the ocean of life. You are the ocean itself, experiencing itself through countless forms. As you recognize this, a deep compassion emerges, not only for yourself, but for everyone around you. You begin to understand that everyone is on their own journey, each struggling and growing, just as you have. And perhaps the most humbling realization is that this journey never truly ends. Even as you experience these moments of awakening, life will continue to unfold, offering new challenges, new lessons, and new opportunities for growth. Enlightenment is not a destination to reach or a final state of being. It is a continuous unfolding, a deepening of understanding that stretches beyond any single moment of realization. So, as you prepare for your own journey, know that it will not be straightforward, nor will it always be comfortable. But it will be true. And if you trust in that truth, if you allow the stillness to speak, the memories to arise, the so-called mistakes to dissolve into cherished experiences, then you will begin to see your life as it truly is, a masterpiece in progress. You will see that nothing is wasted, that every step, every breath has contributed to the person you are becoming. There is no rush. There is no pressure to get it right. The journey will unfold as it should, in its own time, with its own rhythm. All you need to do is trust in the process and remain open to the revelations it brings. Every moment is an opportunity to deepen your understanding, to embrace your experience, and to feel the connection between yourself and the greater whole. This is the path, and you are exactly where you need to be.